Hi, Tiffany here from A Transformed Life. Today I want to talk to you about the fear of uncertainty. All of us have to deal with uncertainty, and it's something you're going to have to deal with the rest of your life. Whenever you meet a new challenge, step into new territory, enter a new relationship, move to a different town, whenever there's change in your life, and let's face it, change is something we can't get away from. And in modern life, we have to deal with a lot of uncertainty because change is pretty constant. If you think about what life was like 500 years ago, there wasn't much change. You woke up and went to the same job, and that job never changed. You saw the same people, and that group of people generally never changed. You probably saw the same 150 to 200 people, maybe, unless you lived in a bigger city. You probably saw those same people every day. Same faces, same tasks, same job. Well, compare that with now. We're constantly faced with change and uncertainty, and it can be really difficult to deal with. And if you have a fear of uncertainty, when you look into your future, it's sort of like a fog that hovers over everything, and it distorts your reality so that you can't see clearly to move ahead. And I can really relate to that because as I've navigated through my life, especially now that I'm helping other people with anxiety, I've had to do a lot of unfamiliar things. And it's sort of natural to fear the unfamiliar, to be slightly uncomfortable with things that are new. But when that fear begins to hold you back, begins to press down on you, begins to keep you up at night, begins to keep you stuck, that's when you know it's become unmanageable. Okay, so while a normal bit of angst or tiny bit of anxiety is pretty normal whenever you're facing anything new, how do you get past that? You shouldn't have to live your life in discomfort whenever you face something new because you're going to face that so much. Okay, so making videos at one time was new for me. And to be honest with you, I'm not 100% comfortable. When I first started making videos, I thought, do I sound right? Am I doing this right? What if I mess it up? What if I look like an idiot? What if I'm not helping anybody? All of those fears started coming to me. And then I realized what was happening, and I thought, this is new. This is unfamiliar. I need to look at my mindset. People think that people who are on YouTube making content or people who work with other people in the capacity of coaches and consultants, they think we don't struggle, but unfortunately, we're just human beings like the rest of you. I'm not any better than you, okay? I've just learned a few things that have brought me from anxiety, from depression, from panic disorder, from agoraphobia, to peace of mind. And I want to teach those things to you. And one of the most important things that you have to learn to be comfortable with if you want to be free of anxiety is to free yourself from the fear of uncertainty. So, now this is especially a problem for young people. I see this really commonly in later teens, early adult. So if you think about it, this fear of uncertainty comes when you're afraid of something new and unfamiliar. And when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, everything is new. You're graduating from high school. You've never done that before. You might be entering into your first serious relationship. You've never done that before. Going off to college. You've never left your family before. Starting a new career, getting married, having children, everything's unfamiliar. Now, as you navigate these milestones of your life, when you navigate them successfully, you begin to gain confidence. And the same holds true for an adult. Just because you've navigated all that, now you've entered into adulthood, and maybe you are constantly being asked to step it up in your career. You've started a business like me, and I'm constantly faced with new technological challenges. And every time I think I've learned enough, something new pops up. Every time I think I've settled, I've achieved, I get a new ambition. Okay, and unless I'm going to settle into my comfort zone and not achieve anything, I'm going to have to face uncertainty. I'm going to have to deal with the unknown. And so, but how do you do that? How do you take that step of faith? how do you keep yourself moving forward? You can settle into that comfort zone, and that's okay if you choose to do that. But if you're an ambitious person, if you want to succeed, if you want to achieve, if you want to live that life of your dreams, you are going to have to take a step of faith, and you're going to have to trust yourself. So here's the key. The difference between someone who faces uncertainty with confidence and someone who faces uncertainty with anxiety is whether or not you trust yourself. Not whether you trust other people. Not whether you've got it all figured out. Not whether you can keep yourself comfortable, because the unfamiliar is always going to be a little uncomfortable. And when you're facing the unfamiliar, you can begin to feel like a victim. You can begin to feel like, well, if I just knew more, if I just was a better person, I don't feel like I'm enough. But the important thing is, how do I get that self-trust? How do you get the self-trust, the self-confidence you need to move forward? You have to believe in your own capabilities. And there's some core beliefs that you need to have about yourself to navigate uncertainty with a sense of peace and calm. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as I said earlier, confidence is built when you face challenges, you overcome those challenges, and you move forward. But what if you look at your life and say, Tiffani, I don't really have a history of achievement to look back on? First of all, I bet you do. I'll bet you if you sit down right now and pause this video and make a list of the things you've done and the things you've learned and the things you've accomplished, you might see that you have done so much that you're not considering. It's easy to just look back and think you haven't accomplished much because you're so busy fearing the future. It doesn't have to be huge accomplishments. Did you graduate? Did you have a child? Did you go through a really difficult trial and you're still here? You've survived. Look at all the stuff you've survived. I bet you've done so much more than you've considered and given yourself credit for. But even in light of that, you need to have certain specific core beliefs to move forward in confidence. And what are those core beliefs? So I suggest you get a pen and paper right now and write some of these down because they're super important. Core belief number 1. You need to believe that you can learn everything you need to learn to do the things you need to do to get to the place you want to be. Do you want a great relationship? If you believe you're not capable of having that great relationship, you're going to have a lot of fear. If you want to move up in your career, but you really believe you can't learn the things you need to learn to move up the ladder in your company, you're going to have a lot of fear. But if you don't have that confidence that you can learn everything you need to learn, how can you get it? Okay? And that's really about considering what you've learned so far. Think about everything you've learned. You learned to walk. You learned to feed yourself. You learned to ride a bike. You learned to read. You learned to speak a language, maybe more than one. You've learned to drive. Think of all the minute skills that you have learned, some of them incredibly complex. So why would you think that you can't learn what you need to learn to move even forward further? Okay, it doesn't really make any sense when you think about all that you've learned. Number 2, core truth, core belief you need to have is that there's really no such thing as failure. There's only feedback, okay? So people that move forward with confidence, they expect to fail. And maybe that's shocking. What do you mean they expect to fail? Don't they have self-confidence? No, they know that they're going to make mistakes, but they don't view failure as failure. They see it as feedback. They see it as results. I tried this. I got these results, and it didn't work out. So I need to try something else. They try something else. They get another set of results. Doesn't work out the way they wanted. They say, I need to pivot. I need to navigate. They learn. They grow. They don't see themselves as a failure because what they tried didn't work out. Okay? Belief number 3, there is no standard. There's a journey. if you're created a standard that you have to live by in order to be competent, in order to be a good person, in order to be beautiful, in order to be anything you want to be, here's the standard. And until I reach that standard, I am not good enough. I guarantee you, you'll never reach the standard. And some of you know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about because I used to think this way. As soon as I achieve the level that I thought I've arrived, I've learned what I needed to learn to get here, whoop, standard goes up. Am I right? I know I'm right, okay? Some of you have that brain, like I had, that every time you achieve, the standard is raised. And once again, you feel like you're not good enough. You look up and say, okay, I didn't think I could get here, but now I'm here, but I don't think I can get there, okay? Because you see life as this endpoint, a standard that once you reach, you'll be good enough, instead of viewing life as a journey, okay? There's no endpoint. There's no standard of perfection. Your life is a journey. And if you think about your past, your childhood, growing up was a journey. You started out, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't feed yourself. You couldn't eat. You couldn't do anything for yourself. And yet, you learned everything you needed to learn. You fell 1,000,000 times while you were learning to walk. You got food everywhere when you were learning to eat. You wrote the letters 1,000,000 times wrong when you were learning to write and read. You did all those things, but you learned. And you weren't a failure when you were learning to read, when you were learning to drive and you made a mistake, when you were learning to add and subtract and you didn't get it right. And you're not a failure now if you don't live up to that perfect standard that you've erected in your mind. You are on a journey of learning. Truth number 4, successful people fail a lot, okay? A successful person isn't someone who doesn't fail, and I just use the word fail. I should have said, successful people get a lot of results they don't want, okay? And they do. So you can call it failure or not, but people are not successful because they don't fall, because they don't make mistakes, because everything works out for them. They're successful for one reason. They don't give up, okay? I cannot tell you how many things I've tried that haven't worked. And I know that as I'm on my journey of life, every year I'm growing better and stronger and wiser. And when I look back, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 2 years from now, on today, I'm going to say, whew, man, there's a lot I would do differently. Those YouTube videos I made 2 years ago, they really sucked. Okay, I'm really going to say that as maybe things have advanced. I've gotten better. I don't stutter and smutter so much, okay? But that's life. You're going to get better. You're always going to be better next year, the year after, than you are now, and that's normal. That's part of the journey. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to have things that don't work out, but you keep going. And as long as you keep going, you're going to make progress, okay? Number 5, you are just as good as other people. So when you think about what you really want, what you want to achieve, maybe that career change, that relationship, buying that house, whatever it is, okay, you think about that, and you think about people that achieved it. And we're tempted to feel inadequate and think, well, he's better than me. That's why he has a good relationship. She's better than me. That's why she's worked her way up in the company. These people aren't better than you, okay? They were on their journey. They didn't give up. They believed in themselves. They kept going every time they fell. They took failure as feedback, and they believed they could learn. Okay? It's your beliefs, it's your mindset that determines the trajectory of your life. Okay? You can learn things. Okay? Number 6, you are smart enough to figure it out. And this has never been truer in all of human history. Because now, if you don't know something, you don't have to fly across the United States to find that guy who knows it and learn from him. You can literally go on the internet. You can read a book. You can find a website. You can ask ChatGPT. You can find the information you need easier than you ever could in all of human history. It's right at as your fingertips. So there's no reason for you to feel like you're not smart enough to figure it out. Okay, the things I need to know 5 years from now, to do the things I'm going to be doing 5 years from now, like I'd like to do some public speaking someday. You know what though? I probably suck at public speaking right now. I'm probably not smart enough, okay, if I want to look at it that way, to do a good job right now. But I can learn how to do that. I'm probably not going to be super good the first time I step on a stage or in front of a crowd to do that public speaking, because I'm on a journey, okay? But if I believe I can learn everything I need to learn to be a good speaker, okay, I'll take the feedback I get and I'll learn from it. There's no standard. If I don't do it this way the first time, I'm a bad public speaker. I can expect to make mistakes, okay? But I need to know I can be just as good as that guy over there if I'm willing to put in the work and do it, because I'm smart enough to figure it out. You see how I strung all those together? And the last one is you don't need all the answers right now. Sometimes when we look in the future, we think, if I could just figure out how I'm going to do it, then I'll feel safe. Okay? You're not going to know how you're going to do it all the time. Just take the first step. Figure out what that first step is and just take it, okay? If you're single and you want a relationship, get out there. Join a dating site. Go where there's other people you can meet. The first step. You don't have to figure out how you're going to navigate all the nuances of that relationship. If you want to start your own business, you don't have to know the complete trajectory of your business. Trust me, you won't. If you think you got it figured out, life will pivot and twist. Technology will change. Who would have thought 10 years ago we'd have AI? There's no way for you to predict the future, but you need to predict one thing, that you're smart enough to figure it out, and you'll be figure it out when the time comes. You'll be given the wisdom that you need to figure it out. So I hope you wrote those down, because those are the key beliefs you need to move forward in the face of uncertainty and achieve success. And don't expect to be comfortable. Don't expect to not be a little nervous. I really think, especially when it comes to relationships, I meet up with people and they say, I have anxiety about this relationship I'm in. And I'll say, how long have you been dating this guy? 2 weeks. Well, you don't know him. And you probably should be a little cautious. You should be a little nervous. You don't know this guy, okay? You don't know this woman, and you should keep your heart in check until you get to know that person. So we often think of anxiety as something we have to get rid of, as a pathology, but anxiety is something that protects us as long as it doesn't begin to dominate and get out of balance. A little bit of anxiety is good, okay? If you had no anxiety, you'd be in trouble. They've actually demonstrated in research that people that have that limbic portion of their brain, and I wish I knew the brain structure, but I'm not a neurologist, so I can't tell you. If you know it, you can put it in the comment section. But that part of their brain that produces anxiety gets damaged in an accident or from trauma, and they no longer have any fear. Guess how long they live? Generally not more than 2 years. Okay? Anxiety is protective as long as it doesn't get out of hand. So that little bit of nervousness you have is okay. If you have those core beliefs about yourself, if you have trust in yourself and in your own abilities, you can navigate uncertainty without letting that fog of fear cloud your vision for the future. And see, I've got to look at my notes because I'm not perfect. Okay, so if you don't do that, if you don't choose to trust yourself, believe in yourself, then you're going to hunker down into your comfort zone and you're never going to move forward. So you don't probably realize maybe how much of your potential has been sapped away by fear of uncertainty. It's something a lot of people deal with. And you'll see a lot of people who say, I wish I had achieved this, I wish I had done that, and they didn't. They were too afraid. Okay? Let's step out of your comfort zone. If you think about it, everything you have already accomplished, every single thing, you had to do with uncertainty. Every time there was a first time for you, you did that with uncertainty. And you were okay. You made it. You're still here. Okay? Sometimes it went well for you. Sometimes it didn't. But that's part of the journey. That's part of life. Did you learn from it? Okay? So you can navigate the uncertainty of the future as long as you can trust yourself and shift those beliefs inside. Okay? So if you haven't done it, please do it when you stop this video or pause the video and do it now and make that accomplishment list and write down what you've learned so far, and you're going to be amazed. You'll see that you have learned so much that you could literally sit down with a piece of paper for 2 hours and just keep writing. There's an endless amount of stuff you've learned already, stuff you've accomplished already, and you can do it. You can move forward. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Tiffani, what about the fact that I have a disability? I have something that legitimately holds me back, and I would like to achieve A, B, or C. I really want to, but I can't. So my son was born with a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. And when my son got to be about 17, he said, Mom, I want to be in the military. I want to be a soldier. Okay. Now, I believe in possibilities. I believe that you should not limit yourself. But I also know there's reality, right? And my son, because of his disability, is a liability. And I give him credit. I love him so much. And I didn't want to discourage him, so I said, well, go and talk to a recruiter. And the recruiter said, well, if you can pass a bone density test. Well, I already knew what my son's bone density was. I knew he wasn't going to pass. And my son had to grapple with the reality that his bone density meant he would never be the soldier he wanted to be. Okay, I have some genetic health issues. So I have to deal with some health conditions that I may or may not be able to mitigate because of these genetic conditions that I have. I have to deal with those, okay? But you can choose to focus on the things you can't do, and then you can choose to focus on the things you can do. So if you do have some real legitimate limitations, I promise you there's so much you can still do. There's so much potential in my son. Just because he can't be in the military or he can't be a lineman in the electric company 40 feet in the air because he has brittle bone disease doesn't mean my son doesn't have an entire world of opportunity. But sometimes we get so focused on what we can't do that it becomes all-encompassing. And then we look at everything else through that lens. I'm a failure. I'm inadequate because I can't do this one or two things. I've always wanted to sing and I can't sing. Well, trust me, I love to sing. You would not want to hear me. No one wants to hear me. I only sing in the car, and if anyone is with me, they ask me to stop. It doesn't stop me from singing, but I'm not under the illusion that I'm ever going to be a singer on a stage, even though I would love to be. But there's so many other things I'm good at. And so make a list of that today. You have to hone and train your mind to focus on what you've learned already and what you've already accomplished, and focus on your potential. And if you haven't learned it, to believe you can learn it, okay? Now, one of the most powerful things you could do is called timeline meditation. So if you're struggling with uncertainty, I am going to provide for you in the next video, I'm going to provide you with a timeline meditation. This is a short meditation that you can sit and do. It'll probably be around 8 and 10 minutes. I haven't made it yet, okay? But it's going to help you to look over your life and realize just how powerful you are, and then be able to look at your future and from that trajectory, from that knowledge, I should have said, okay? You need to have that self-trust and belief, because the future is always uncertain. You can imagine what might happen. You can fantasize about what tomorrow or next week or next year, but you can't know. The future is always uncertainty, and it's the confidence you have in your ability to navigate that future. It makes all the difference. And this timeline meditation I'm going to create for you is going to help you have that confidence going forward. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you will like, subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it. I also have produced, am producing, a newsletter, because I remember when I struggled with anxiety, depression, discouragement, lack of confidence. You know, watching a video once a week or so was great, but sometimes I just needed, in those really rough times, daily encouragement. So I've been working really hard to produce a daily encouragement message that I send out to my followers. I send it out every morning at 6 a.m. and I try to do that 5 days a week. Now, I'm human, not perfect, so sometimes I don't get it out there, but I work hard to do that for you guys. So if you'd like to sign up for that, please go to my website, tiffanicappello.com, and you'll find just a sign-up sheet. And you can add your information, your email address, your name into the form, and you'll be on my list to get those daily encouragement. And I've gotten nothing but positive feedback. People love these messages. It comes really from my heart. It's free to you, trying to help you navigate life, because we all struggle with trauma and the challenges of living in the modern world, and I want to help you. In that newsletter, I cover topics like anxiety, how to get confidence, the mindset you need for success, how to achieve peace of mind, how to deal with stress, all of those good things that not only do I have this message for you, but it's a message for me too. I write them, and as I'm writing them, I'm learning even more and reminding myself of the things that I teach that I need to remember myself. So I will see you later.